Part 5, period 7. And I said this about period 7, and I could be wrong. But if I was a betting man, and you know I never bet, never in my life, it's bad, gambling is terrible, that I would go to Vegas or, my bookie, somebody's bookie, and say, hey, look, put all my money on that this part of period 7 will not be a specific DBQ prompt question. All right, because they're kind of a little bit worried about the kind of like, that did teachers make it to this part? I'm telling you, a lot of stuff in the 20th century, a little bit down. But I know you're already thinking, I can just shut it down, shut it down, shut it down. I don't even have to. No. This is for my people who want to not only pass, but they're aiming for a 5. You need to have this for complex understanding. You need this for change over time. You need this for conclusion. So let's examine the FDR presidency, through like change over time. And I told you, they were probably not Great Depression, New Deal, World War II, probably will not be on here in a specific question. But let's just go over this. Like, you need to change over time about labor unions. FDR established the Wagner Act, the collective bargaining, the Fair Labor Standards Act, like minimum wage, a certain maximum amount of work week. So it kind of changed from over time of more being favorable to labor unions. You can see the change. You can compare a lot of this stuff. I'm going to say compare that to the 20s, compare that to Progressive Era, compare that to Gilded Age. Now you definitely could get something on the Gilded Age, and you'll have a way to compare it and see how it changed over time in your conclusion, or you establish some historical context, like, well, unions are up, unions are down, and you're very specific about some of these things. Relations with Latin America, you go from the Monroe Doctrine to the Roosevelt Corollary to dollar diplomacy to moral diplomacy / Wilson diplomacy to good neighbor policy. You get it? So you can use that at change. Government expansion. That's a big thing when you think about FDR. Government growth. Now, in 1920s, they want to make it small. Now, FDR kind of settles that we're going to settle into a somewhat big involved government. You see this with his, and you don't have to understand these minutiae details. First New Deal, with the CCC, Tennessee Valley Authority. Second New Deal, the celebrities of all celebrities, Social Security, WPA. So those things that you would, see in here that you would say about how we expanded government, and some of those programs even remain today. And at least government is seen as the safety net. Government will be seen as probably just jumping down here to the, I'm skipping a little bit to the economics that it will start priming upon. It's Keynesian economics, that you will not be laissez-faire, you'll not be Andrew Mellonish, if that's an adjective. You'll not be like, this kind of supply side, or you're going to be a demand side. You're going to be priming the pump. You're going to create you're not going to be trickle down, but trickle up. That's what you're saying. In time, that's what Keynes was saying. You don't do this all the time. You will spend more at this time. Foreign policy, isolations, America First Committee, isolation, it's sneaky FDR, neutrality. Then you see that evolution that's going in here. Lend-Lease, Atlantic Charter, all the way up until December 7, 1941, we get involved in World War II. And you do need to know that date, December 7, 1941. Anytime, Jamestown, 1607. I tell you, there's some deal breaker dates that's in here. Of course, July 4th, 1776, like that. So that you cannot be off of here like that. And you probably need to even know the day. And it's pretty impressive when you do that. Comparing civil liberties, of course. Here we go to the patterns. Change over time, and maybe even compares Korematsu versus United States here. You even got an Alien Registration Act even before the war. Compared civil rights, big. Double V campaign, victory at home, victory abroad. You don't have to know A. Philip Randolph. He's one of those non-celebrity African Americans fighting for civil rights, even though he's a pivotal person here in the early 20th century. Anyway, commentary. And the Waves of Wax, Rosie the Riveter, like that, you know. So as far as women, you know, gaining in opportunities, Bracero program in there. So that's what you do. And then lastly, I put down that comparison, World War I to World War II. Maybe they do sneak a DBQ in there about World War I is related to World War I. Compare and contrast here. You got the, you know, War, you know, Production Board and the War Industries Board of World War II, you know. Fuel and Food Administration and the Office of Price Administration of World War II. And we definitely, and of course, comparing the civil liberties, Schenck versus the United States and Korematsu, how that didn't change, right? See, a lot of those patterns of war is about continuity. So it's not always change over time. So I want to just make sure you understand that continuity that a lot of historians like to examine too. Things that remain the same. For the most part, foreign policy, almost in principle, not in practice, is always isolationist, you know, up until, like, you know, after World War II. And that's the thing I want to get to the end in a way, kind of like, you know, put the, you know, cherry on top of the sundae there, that we don't return to isolationism after World War II. We're internationalists, we're involved, it's a Cold War. We help form the United Nations. Compare that to the League of Nations. You know, we become one of the 5 permanent Security Council members. So, and we do a lot to try to get the UN, you know, established. That's what you do. That's what this section is really for you. Hopefully you were able to remain here to the end.